Suga is going down to the police station, and people are very upset or anxious about this. There's a lot going on with this. People are also scared about some reporters making comments and potentially harassing him when he gets there. And then we have some new releases being demanded to be canceled. So hey dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. So there's a new release that we have to talk about. People are very upset about this. If you're not aware, JK released a new documentary. The new documentary follows this trend to record and document the journey of making an album, including the touring process if the artist decides to tour, and releasing that whole documentary as a movie to go see in theaters. I don't know why this suddenly became a new trend, and it wasn't something that was thought of a long time ago, because it makes a lot of sense. A lot of these companies and labels will literally create a documentary anyway, and they will just sell it. So if they're seeing that it sells a lot and they're usually selling it for more than it would cost if fans were to go into a movie theater and watch it, then why not just contact some theaters and get it shown there? But once one artist does it successfully, I believe Taylor Swift was the one who really did it successfully, other labels and company executives start to see this as an idea that could work, and they allow their own artists to do it. So the documentary has gotten a little bit of controversy because of where it's being aired. It's aired in several parts of the world, and one of those places is none other than Israel. I don't really have to get into why Israel is controversial. I think there are people from both sides that could be upset. So if I talk about Israel being bad, there are going to be pro-Israel people who are going to be upset. And if I talk about Palestine being bad, there's going to be people who are upset about that, and I can't really win in that situation. However, my opinion about the situation has been well documented on this channel, so I'm going to be pretty neutral talking about this because I don't really have much more to say about this particular situation. But a lot of people are obviously upset that the show is going to be aired in such a controversial place, and they're asking for the show to be canceled or taken down. This is an interesting request, I think, because I think a lot of people are doing it from a place of them standing by their own beliefs and them standing by what they believe is the right thing to do. To me, it seems more like an effort to get JK and the BTS members away from the controversy more than it's them caring about the political aspect of this. I think they just don't like the idea of something controversial, something bad that's happening in the world associated with a BTS member. I actually have no problem with seeing a point of view if that point of view is trying to say, well, this is my political standpoint, I believe it should be taken down, blah, blah, blah. However, oftentimes when I'm looking at those comments, it's not people who even care about what's going on over there politically. They'll talk about how they want the documentary taken off the air in Israel, and at the same time, if you go to their profile, they'll talk about how they don't like that BTS and K-pop has gotten so political. And this is a real problem that I have, because if you truly care about what's going on over there and it bothers you so much, then this should be an issue that you talk about actively and openly with all groups, with all different artists, and with all different things that are happening there. But it's usually just this one thing that they say over and over again on their page, and they don't really care about anything else. Plus, the way that a lot of these people care, it's not a way that is healthy or normal. There are a lot of people who are very, very passionate about what's going on over there and very upset about what's going on over there. And you'll see what they talk about. They're pulling up laws. They're talking about so many different things. They're actively going to places, taking pictures and showing the political stuff that they're a part of. But when you're actively just tweeting and posting about one person and trying to get that one person not associated with Israel, it's clear what your standpoint is. Those people only care if it's their bubble that bursts. They only care if it involves BTS. And if it doesn't involve BTS, they might not even know what's happening over there. And a lot of people like to argue and say that it's okay to not know things, and it's okay to just be in your bubble. To a certain extent, it is okay. It's okay to have a fantasy. It's okay to just know the people that you know. It's okay to kind of be a little bit isolated from the outside, but not to an extent that is as crazy as we see sometimes in K-pop. Also, it's a bit of a double standard, at least in my opinion, because some of these people will say that they want to stay in a bubble, but at the same time, if an artist stays in a bubble, and that bubble that they're staying at happens to be people who are just wealthy and really powerful, and they're around those people all the time, then we look at the celebrity and we say, oh, they're out of touch. They're not with reality. They don't understand what's going on. But at the same time, I would say there are people who are just everyday people, like not millionaires, and they don't know what's going on in the world, right? Like you start to see how that's actually problematic. If you're unaware of what's going on with Suga and the police station, we definitely have to talk about that. It was reported somewhere that August 22nd, he will be going to the police station for questioning. So this then led a lot of people to ask if he would be doing the photo line. From what I gather of what the photo line is that it's similar to a mugshot. It's not a mugshot, but it's photographs that are going to be taken and then used as part of evidence. This way, if they were to show a witness, the witness can say, oh, that's the person that was doing whatever. I don't exactly know what the difference is. If anyone can explain that, please do, because you can kind of do that with a mugshot too. So I don't really know why they would need two different types of photographs. But it was believed that Suga would get a photo line. That was then quickly debunked by police officers, I believe, from the precinct, that said that actually isn't going to happen, and he's just going to be coming in and answering some questions and would be treated like any other suspect. Now, a lot of reporters ended up lining up outside of the precinct. I mean, it looks like at least 20 people that we can even just see. I didn't actually count the heads, but it looks like a lot, and then there's probably more people that we can't see. Now, they are blocking the entrance. They are blocking everything in the way where you would have to pass that. So the moment he gets out of his car and starts heading towards that entrance there would be all sorts of cameras flashing. He would have to address the media because they would essentially be in his way. So if you were to touch or push any of them, that could potentially be a headline, right? He's so aggressive, he's mean, or whatever. They would say that, and then they might even do that on purpose to get any sort of reaction. And Suga would actually have to answer some questions or whatever. They were lined up. It was believed around 10 a.m. Korean Standard Time. And you might think that's a bit random, but this was, I believe, reported to be the time in which Suga was supposed to show up. I don't know where anyone got this information. I didn't know this type of information was even publicly available. But someone got a hold of this, or maybe what we thought was this information, and they published it and said, hey, Suga will show up then. Now, he didn't show up, and they were all waiting for quite some time, and then it came out by the police or whoever to say that no specific time was confirmed, and they don't know if there was even a date that was confirmed. And that makes sense to me, because if the police were to be like, hey, come in for questioning, I would imagine they would give you a window of time where you could just show up. Not like a specific date and time, but maybe they do, right? I don't know. A lot of people thought this was funny because the site or the company or whoever reported on the initial time in which Suga was supposed to show up never checked this information. So allegedly this wasn't even information that was fact-checked, or it didn't come from official sources. This was very interesting to me, how all these reporters showed up to spend their day, waste their time, whatever, and not even be 100% sure if it was going to even be there or not. However, probably not the first time that something like this happens. Reporters often show up places without things actually ever happening. A lot of people were also scared that if Suga was going to show up around that time, that he would have gotten attacked or hurt, given just how many people were there. How many people would have been yelling at him? How many reporters might even have tried to touch him to get a reaction? And it's just kind of crazy. I mean, if you look, it looks like there's actually reporters in that building. So that's even crazier to me, how they're allowed to just open the door and be physically in the building. I don't know if a police office is considered private or public property, but to just be waiting outside of a property is kind of crazy. And who's to say that they wouldn't try to get any sort of reaction? Other people were very upset because there was even this other reporter who said something about if Suga doesn't acknowledge the media when he goes into the police office, this would actually put him in a worse situation. This can either be true or not. I mean, if he doesn't address the media, I can't imagine people would come up with this rumor that he's a mean person, or potentially even some of the media sites writing it themselves. But I really don't think that if all these reporters did show up, him addressing them would be the best course of action. I would say that probably any publicist would say that he shouldn't say anything, because what is there to say? He obviously doesn't want to be there. Any questions that they would ask would probably be inappropriate. They're not supposed to be there, and there's really nothing else for them to know. I believe the questions would be public information anyway, either soon or eventually, and any other information that would need to be known publicly would be released by the police station themselves. So there really is no need for any of the journalists to be there. All of that information will come out and will probably be sent to them. And so when I saw this, I just thought this was way, way too much. I'm kind of hoping that this was Hybe's PR team releasing this time and date just to get the journalists to go crazy, and it was all like a fake date all along. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for the comment right here. Love you, bye.